Hi, everyone. Hi. Welcome back to
Hi.
the Miracle. Today we are here not only with Victor and Alina, but with Adil as well, who is a special coach for men. First, we'll introduce ourselves as usual. I'm Alina. I'm a confidence and leadership coach and an emotion code practitioner. And this is my lovely brother, Victor.
My name is Victor. I'm a Falcon doctor and in love with the energetic water, and that's how I help people have it all over the world. And today we got Coach Adil, who coaches men especially, and he has beautiful story to tell, and we brought him here for you today. Adil.
Welcome, Adil. Welcome.
Thanks
Thank you
very
for
much.
accepting this.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Please share with us what started you on this journey. What's coaching men about?
So before I go into what coaching men is about, I'll talk to you about how I got here in the first place. So about 3 years ago, after living at home until the age of 31, I had a massive, huge argument with my mum. And she asked me to leave, and it was a very hard time for me because I've been living at home thinking that I was there to protect and help and heal and look after my mum. And so being asked to leave, it just put me in a very difficult and awkward situation because I didn't really want to go. As much as I missed not having the freedom that my friends had when I was younger. All my friends were living out, they were having a good time, they're having parties and everything, but I was at home. I felt like I had to be there. So I felt like I had this sense of obligation to be at home with my mum and my sister. But anyway, I got asked to leave and I left. And that was a very hard time. At the same time, I was going through a very difficult time in my relationship because we were trying to repair a very damaged and broken relationship because I had cheated on my girlfriend, and obviously she'd found out, and it was just very challenging. But all of that was just too much for me to handle. So I left and I went on a retreat to Morocco. It was a yoga and surfing retreat. So I deliberately chose something that was a little bit more spiritual, even though I wasn't necessarily that spiritual back then. I just wanted something where I knew I would connect with people that would understand my need for connection, or at least understand my need for being left alone. Whatever it is I needed, I knew that they would understand. And plus the surfing was fun. I'd never done it before, so I thought I'd try something a bit different. But while I was there, I met a Reiki healer, and I'd never heard of Reiki before. I'd never even entertained it. I just didn't know what it was. But I had nothing to lose. So I thought, let me just go see this lady and see what this is about. And while I was there, what should have been a 1 hour Reiki session ended up being a 3 hour session, where she took me on a bit of a journey to understand the relationship with my mum. And I hadn't even mentioned to her that I had an issue with my mum or anything like that, or why I was even in Morocco. And what she got me to understand was that I held on to a lot of pain, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger towards my mum, towards my family in general. And I had a lot of suppressed energy and a suppressed emotion because I wasn't really encouraged to express myself. As a man growing up with Asian parents, especially a very strong dad, his ideal was that men don't cry, men are strong, men are tough. And I think many of those that are listening to the podcast today will probably resonate, a lot of the men, I think. So I didn't really have an outlet for expression. And I actually was also very angry as a kid, well, at least as a teenager. I held on to a lot and then I would just explode. So my form of expression was for explosion or implosion, where I would take it out on myself. I wouldn't really allow myself to speak freely. I didn't really know how. I didn't feel comfortable. I was always told that I was too sensitive and too emotional. So I didn't express it. And another thing that came up was that, the Reiki healer said, her name was Kate. So Kate said that I was trying to parent my parents. So me being at home looking after my mom, she said, the energetic flow doesn't flow this way. It doesn't flow up towards parents. It flows down your ancestors to you. So it doesn't really work when you're trying to look after someone who's older than you like that. And you didn't need to, you gave a lot of love that you didn't need to give, and you lost out. You didn't get the love that you needed. And she gave me this like sound bowl. And she said, this sound bowl represents all of the love that you gave your mom that you didn't need to give, and you can take it back for yourself. And at that moment, I started crying. And I said, how can I take back all this love from my mom? This is, this doesn't sound very nice. It's not fair. And in the moment, she was taking on the energy of my mom. So she spoke to me as if she was my mom. And she said, no, I'm going to be fine. You can take this back. I want you to have it. So I took it back. And in that exact moment, I just felt this weight, this like lightness on my shoulders and my body. And I felt happy and I felt calm. And then she hugged me, and I was just like, had my head on her lap, as if she was my mum. And she was like stroking my head, and it just felt really nice. And I realized that, there are a lot of men in the world who don't know how to articulate themselves, how to articulate how they're really feeling, don't even know there's something wrong. And there's a lot of men that will go through a really, really hard time and not even get to a depressive state. But some will go into depression. Some will even have really, really bad thoughts about things they want to do to themselves. And I was very lucky that I didn't get to that point, And the key thing that links us all is that we don't feel comfortable sharing how we really feel. Even with our friends, even with our family, we just, there are many that do, but there are many, many, many that don't. The suicide rate for men is 4 times higher than that of women. And that's not, it's no surprise. Women are more likely to share things and talk things out, but men don't. So in that moment, I had decided that when I go back home, I'm going to start a movement to get men talking. And that was all it started off as. Let me just get men talking, just to share how they're feeling. Because one conversation.
It's just, I'm so excited about what you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I really applaud and salute you.
So the premise was that one conversation could change a life, literally that. And I was very fortunate that I was able to go away, speak to someone that could help and just help me to understand that. And the final takeaway that I had in that moment in this little flat in Morocco was be the love you want to receive. You're not always going to get the love that you need or want from people around you, but you can be that for yourself and to those around you rather than wanting and waiting to get it from someone or somewhere. So I took some time. When I came back, I didn't speak to my mum straight away because it was very painful. I broke up with my girlfriend because I still couldn't handle that situation. I just had to step away, which in hindsight is incredibly painful because she was amazing. But I couldn't give her what she needed, and I wasn't the man I am now back then. I believe I had a good heart, but I did bad things, and I didn't know what to do. So 6 months later, I repaired my relationship with my mum by being able to talk to her about everything that's gone on, understand her story, understand mine, and now we're in a really, really good place. I started running online men's circles where I would encourage men to just join me on Zoom, and we would just talk and we would just share how we're feeling. We'd go around in a circle and then we'd each take 5 minutes to express how our week is going, how our relationships are going, how we're feeling inside, how we're feeling in the body, like everything. And it was just nice because when a man is sharing and another man is just listening, you already feel like it's not too bad, like, okay. Or if a man says, hey, look, I'm going through the same thing, you already feel like you're not alone. I think so many men feel like they have to go through it alone because we're conditioned to be tough and strong and lone rangers and like, okay, you can fix it. If you can't fix it, something's wrong with you. We've lost the art as men to come together and work things out. That's what I think. So
That's really beautiful. So
yeah, and Victor, you've been to many of my men's circles.
yeah, to share like from an outsider point of view.
Yeah.
Because I've been in your men's circle group for a couple of months, but I was away during the summer. And then finally, I think in September is the first time when it clicked that I had free schedule and I dared to come. I had no idea what men's circle means. If I told to my friends I'm going to a men's circle, hey, that's a gathering of gay. What is that? Yeah. So people have no idea what is that.
Yeah.
But I'm always open heart to everything. So I went there and I watched Adil in action, and I realized exactly what he said, that this saves lives.
Yeah.
So I've seen men that they were coming there, they were just divorced or on the point of getting divorced with very poor mental state, This kind of men, they come there almost ready to jump a cliff, right? So they are in top of everything. They are enough. And when they share and when they hear from other men that they are not alone, somehow they open up and they throw all that bucket of issues out, and they go with full heart and with more courage to start something new. So I used to go every week. I was very fascinated to listen to the stories, and felt grateful that I don't have this kind of issues, and I felt more and more empowered. So that I decided to speak to all the friends that I am having, invite them to Adil's meetings, because this is the future. We gotta be there for each other. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Adil.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that's
This
it,
is fantastic. It's fantastic, Adil. Sorry, I just wanted to share. You're right about the suicide rate, and I'm so happy you started this movement with the men circles joining and sharing. And I think this need to be seen, to be just seen, and to know that you're not alone is universal, because I've experienced the same with the circles I make for women. We call it power of appreciation groups, where we practice appreciation, but basically the bond that forms, it's so close. But the main reason why they come, it's exactly the same like the one you shared. They want to be seen. They want to know they are not weird, that others feel the same. They are accepted exactly as they are. Just, I think what you're doing is very powerful, and it's going to change the world. And just to share a thought, I think we women have a role in this, in the way we raise our boys, because there's not only fathers, there's mothers as well, and mothers can change the way they raise their boys. But I'm just curious, later on, maybe you'll share your thoughts on this.
I mean, I can definitely share it now. The key thing is encourage your young men to express how they're feeling and validate them. And every emotion is valid. Whatever someone is feeling is right. Whether you believe that they should be feeling that or not, doesn't matter. If they feel it, they feel it. Encourage and teach them how to articulate how they're feeling, and you can get help with that. There's charts of different emotions from top to bottom. You've probably seen this, and that really helps, because sometimes we only know angry, sad, happy. There's only 4 emotions that we can label, and I know there are 5 base emotions, but there's so many more ways that we can articulate that, and it just helps the conversation. Rather than kids just suppressing how they're feeling, it will always come out. Emotion is energy and emotion. Emotion. And if we don't express, it will find a way out. And if we don't do it in a healthy way, it'll come out in a very unhealthy way. A lot of the time we are using coping mechanisms that are unhealthy, such as alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, food, all kinds of things, rather than actually dealing with what is going on. They're just masking it. So we can get our kids to speak up, to share what's going on, how they're feeling inside, how their day is going, and feel and know that they're in a safe space. That's what we do. And this is the key thing that comes up, is safety. Men need to feel safe enough to speak. If they don't feel safe, or if they think someone's going to judge them or shut them down or ridicule them or use it against them in the future, we will shut down and you'll never hear from us again. He just won't, then you get a stone wall. That's it. I hear it a lot with the women that I work with, who they want to understand their men better. They want their men to open up and be more emotional. And Victor, you come to one of my talks on this. If you can't create safety for a man, he will not open up. So that's my biggest takeaway on how we can get.
How do you create safety for a man?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so say we bring up relationships. So the first thing is timing. If you would like to bring up a topic with a man that maybe it's not the best topic, or it's not an easy conversation, or it needs a lot of energy, timing is important. So being able to give him a heads up, like, hey, listen, can we have a little chat on Wednesday after dinner, and just let's talk about a few things, and have a little catch up, have a little check in on how we're doing in the relationship, would be fantastic. I really like you to prioritize this. It's important for me, and that's one thing you can do. Because the last thing we want as men is to walk in from work and you're there waiting just to pounce on us and ask us all the questions. It's not going to go down well, or just before we're about to leave for the house to go to work or go to see our friends or whatever it's going to be. Not going to work either. Think about what your intention is. What do you want from that conversation? You want it to be, calm, heart opening, relaxed, positive, moving with direction and intention towards solving a problem, then think about what that environment looks like. It looks like loving. It looks like sitting down together and, maybe sharing a glass of wine if you drink, or maybe it's just creating safety in the moment, setting the music, the ambiance, some candles, like just even talking about things that you love about each other in the beginning, rather than going straight into like, you did this last week, like not going to work. So setting, timing, also allowing a man, or allowing for the man not to know how to respond, is important. Because often when we're told something about ourselves or about the relationship or about how you're feeling, for example, we more than likely feel quite attacked. We feel like it's our responsibility and it's our fault. Even if you're not saying it's your fault, we feel like it's our fault. We've done something wrong. So if you say, I felt sad last week because of this, we take it as that's the worst. And you shouldn't be thinking like that. That shouldn't have happened. That's not what I meant. And so your feelings become invalidated. We feel like we're not good enough. And we go around in this massive circle of blame, guilt, and like all kinds of things. So being able to articulate what it is that you really want and feel is important. Also knowing that you're not here to blame anyone, and it sounds like when I speak about this, it's like, oh, you have to do so much to make a man feel like safe and so much, like, why can't he just understand? But a lot of men don't, because we're not taught how to do this. We're not taught how to communicate health in a healthy way. We're not taught how to take criticism. If someone talks to us about ourselves in a negative way, or in a way that isn't super happy and positive, it affects how we feel about ourselves and our ego.
I can totally confirm what you said. With my ex-husband, I remember very late I learned about this issue. After reading John Gray's famous Women Are From Mars, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and then the 5 love languages. There were times when I would just say something like you said, and I would see him become defensive. Not very obviously, but obviously because I knew him for so long, I realized he's defensive. And then I literally worded it out and I said, I'm not blaming you. This is not to criticize you. So I had to reassure him, and then he would relax, and then I could go on with the conversation. So what you're saying is absolutely true and valid, but it took me years because neither are we women taught about this. That a mere affirmation for us, which doesn't carry any blame in our heads, could be received as blame on the other side.
Yeah. And the other thing is like looking at a problem together. So, say for example, well, I don't know, there's issue with kids or timing or wherever it's going to be, money, rather than looking at it like this, even looking at each other like me and you looking at each other now, that can sometimes be very, like, it's actually not ideal way of communicating. Sometimes sitting next to each other, it's almost like you're looking at something together, or going for a walk together. So going for a walk and talking can sometimes be a little bit better than sitting opposite each other, because it's like you're talking about like this, Yeah, exactly. So that's another thing, just how you talk and how you look at it. We're looking at this problem, we're looking at it together. What is our solution as a team? I think a lot of couples don't look at things like that. They look at like, okay, you got to do this and you got to do this.
That's so precious what you said, looking at it like a team and just assuming the other one has the best intentions. We are on the same team and we have the best intentions and we have a common agenda.
Yeah. I think too often, even in my relationships, it's always been like, what are you going to do to fix it? What am I going to do to solve the situation? Sometimes we need a bit of help. Like, let's do this together. I get that, as men, we can step up in certain areas. I get it. And as women, we can step up in certain areas too. But I think the more people that come together and work together as a couple, they're the ones that thrive. It's not you're the wife and you're the husband. It's okay, we're a team. And I haven't actually been with anyone like that yet, where we're looking at things as a team.
Would be enough. Mutual. You would assume that love would be enough. Mutual love would be enough for these things to come.
What is love? Let's go there.
It's not enough.
What is love?
Love is wishing the best for both of us, for me and for you.
Okay, well, that's a really good definition. That's a great definition.
I would really want to know if you're considering making a course, writing a book, because the book that you wish you had as you grew up as a little boy, learning about how to
That's the
communicate?
exact book that I want to write. I want to write a book that I wish I had when I was 25.
Okay.
You know? Because the man I was then, lost. He was lost. Let me tell you about him. So this man was a man he didn't have much confidence. He was insecure in how he looked. He was insecure in his body. He was obsessed with love and being in relationships, but didn't know how to be in relationships. He was very selfish. He would cheat, so he just looked for love everywhere. Even though he had a girlfriend, he would still look for love because no amount of love was enough. No amount of affection was enough. He was angry. He would drink just so that he could dance because he didn't have that confidence. He had a good heart, but he lacked guidance. He didn't know what he wanted, and he didn't know how to show up in the world as the best version of himself. He had very toxic masculine traits. He didn't know how to be healthily masculine, and I think he could have done with some guidance back then. But how do you talk to a man that doesn't know he needs it? So this is my, not trouble, but this is what I'm focusing on. Is I want to work with men that don't think they need help and guidance.
I think, do you think it would be appropriate to speak to their pains? Because they know they have some pains, which you just addressed right now. You just worded them so well, because obviously you were that man years back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm going to speak to these guys that are insecure in their bodies, people that are struggling in relationships, people that are just stressed out through work and all these kind of things, just trying to get by. If you're just trying to get by, let's have a talk.
Mm-hmm. Will you have a chapter for women as well?
I think it might be a different book.
I think it's time we speak each other's languages. I think John Gray was amazing, is amazing, but wasn't enough. And not everybody has heard of John Gray. These things have to become more, day-to-day things accepted in society, more popularized. It's not enough. It's like this kind of education is for sophisticated people who have time and money to explore themselves, to explore their traumas, their feelings, and so on. It's not common knowledge. It has to become common knowledge. Would you agree with that?
What do you think? What do you think is the solution?
Lots of men's circles, and maybe you generating a model that can be replicated. At least this is what I'm aiming with my circles, to find women who would want to take this model over, because there's only one of me who can do appreciation groups. To create a model that can be easily multiplied. And
I find amazing what we did in the retreat in the desert, if you remember, Adil, when we did the men's circle, the women's circle, and then one coach for each of the representatives went to each of the groups, and that was very powerful. I've seen men crying, I've seen women crying, everybody was crying. So by crying, I mean releasing a lot of emotional garbage, becoming a better person. I think
that was tough. So obviously there were 20 men in the men's circle and 50 women in the women's circle, right? So women are definitely more inclined to go to these things. But then,
if you ask all of my friends, sorry to interrupt you, most of the women I know have no idea that men feel like this. They never hear these words. And for me, myself, to hear your words coming from your mouth is kind of liberating and healing. It's like, okay, there's suffering on the other side. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm more compassionate now.
This is what we need. Rather than me just working with men, which is what I've been doing, I've now been working with both. So I am trying to bring together men and women to have conversations about the things that we need to be talking about. I did a talk recently on the stigma behind emotional men. So we had men and women in the room, and we just got men to talk about why they don't open up, why don't they share, and women talking about how they want their men to share. But then me asking them, can you handle a man's truth? Can you really, like if a man said, I don't know, I masturbate every day by myself, watching porn that doesn't look like you, can you handle that? Or would you make him feel like shit? Would you judge him? Would you say, how could you? How dare you? Because if that's what comes out your mouth, that's what comes out your mind first, then you're not actually within yourself ready to hear a man's truth.
I think women need to be educated that men are different in this way. Their bodies are different. Their hormones are different. there are differences between us. And
But we can just be compassionate.
yes, exactly. We can be compassionate, but a bit of education helps.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because we women don't feel the same. We don't have the same needs, maybe.
I mean, everyone's
So we may
different and
not.
everyone's the same at the same time. You know, I think we've all got things that we have in
Oh,
common.
true. We can stick to the common grounds always, but I think this education clarifies so much.
So without education, at least encouraging, that's why the conversations are nice, because it's men and women together that aren't in relationships, right? So if it's the three or maybe there's 10 of us in a room and no one is in a relationship with each other, we can be honest because we don't care. And that is educational, right? So we had women saying, wow, I didn't realize that this is how men think. That's not how you're saying.
I tell you that for me it was super healing,
Mm.
especially that session when we had, I think we were mixed, half women, half men, and
Yeah.
everybody was sharing exactly what you're saying about the stigma on men, how to communicate. And I was passing myself to some challenges, and it helped a lot because I was going there with a bit of disappointment and that kind of feeling that I just want to leave everything behind, just run away. How many men are doing. I've seen that they get enough and they just want to run away. And I felt that way. But when I heard it from many other men, I heard it that is something normal. I found techniques that the other men coped up, and we had also a relationship coach, which
Yeah.
does that for a very long time. So we got so much knowledge that okay, that's it. Now I have the right weapons to win this war,
Yep.
to win this game, and to make everything better for everyone. So this
Why-
is really powerful.
Why do you think, Adil, that sometimes we think it's a war? Because Victor used the right word in a sense. In many times, I'm not saying this to criticize Victor, by the way, but I have felt this competitiveness that comes up at certain points in couples' lives.
I think
And-
it's because we feel like a relationship is something that is like this ideal thing over here. You know, like it should be like this. We've seen it how it is in the film. We've seen it how it is in Disney. We've seen this is what relationship should be. So even though everyone wants to be in a relationship and everyone loves the idea of love, but no one's taught how to do any of these things. And everyone, I find that we live in a society which is very fear-based, right? Everything's fear-based, and it drives things like consumerism. We want to be afraid of like things like scarcity, and love doesn't exist. So we want it, but we're also told at the same time there's no such thing as love. Love doesn't exist. Don't stop, stop demanding so much. Who do you think you are for like wanting all these things? Like, there's no such thing as perfect, or all of these things. There's no such thing as soulmates and everything. So when we're actually in relationships, it's almost like we're already wired to believe that this isn't going to work, and it's difficult, and it's tough, and it's hard, and there's all these other options, and life could be better over here. We're not taught how to stay in a relationship, heal it, repair it, work together as a team. It is seen as like us versus them, him versus her, or whatever it's going to look like, to create something that doesn't exist, this ideal, perfect relationship.
You
There's no such
point at
thing.
something very precious. Sorry, there's a third entity that we are much more preoccupied with, the relationship, which doesn't really exist. It's you and me. And we should be focusing on you and me,
Yeah,
human to human, instead
Yeah.
of focusing on the relationship, the marriage, the whatever it is, because you always hear this cliches like, I want to save my marriage. I want to work on my relationship. No bloody thing. Work on the friendship, on the connection between you and me. This is what we
Yeah.
need to work on.
exactly.
This is my feeling.
Work on yourself, be the best version of you. And like your definition of love earlier was like wanting the best for the other person.
For both of us. For both
Yeah,
of
but
us.
practice that, right? Practice that. And if you're both on the same page, fantastic. But what I also see sometimes is that there might be one person in the relationship that is thinking like this and feeling like this, and the other person doesn't. Then what do you do? And that's the tough stuff. And that's the bit where I don't know, I think my experience would fall short in these kind of areas, because it really helps when both of you are on the same page.
Share with you what I did.
Oh.
After a 15-year-old relationship was nearing its end, I thought, this is the father of my kids. This is my best friend at one point. We loved each other for many years. We did so many things together. I can't just walk away. I need to know one more time that I've given everything. So one more time, I made myself fall in love with a guy. just like in the very beginning. I needed to know I've tried everything. And when that everything of mine, that was my everything in my terms, what I could give, when that everything didn't change things very much, it changed something, but not very much, then I knew it's the end.
Mm.
But
Well,
at
that's
least I
nice.
don't have to look back and wonder on this very valuable relationship in my life. Have I done everything?
Mm.
I don't know if there was anything else I could have done for sure, but the me I was then, just like you said,
That's
to the best
beautiful.
of my knowledge, to the best of my ability, I've done everything at the
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
Have
So
you
I'm at peace.
have you heard of Esther Perel?
I have heard, yeah.
She talks about, how you could have multiple relationships and multiple marriages within the same relationship and within the same marriage.
Oh, definitely. It's very possible.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
I have to give credit to Tony Robbins
Mm.
because he said at some point in one seminar, if you behave like it's the end of your relationship, which means you don't invest in the other person, you don't make them your first priority, what do you expect?
Mm. That's so true.
So behave again as if it's the beginning, as if you are just falling in love. Maintain that for a while and see what happens.
Mhm. And I will add something here, which I find it the most important. So we spoke a lot of things, but this is the most important because I was really passing through challenging times, and somehow the universe gave me the right tools, first of all, to understand it and how to work on it. And from family constellation to astrology to human design, I understood that my past lives, my karmic background in this life was to attract this kind of person, to learn certain kind of lessons. And I learned to see in all the triggers of getting upset or frustrated or angry, to see it as a projection of myself. I mean,
Mm.
there is something in me that I'm not able to see, I'm not able to heal. And even if I run away and I get involved with another relation, I'll get exact the same person because I did not learn my lesson. And once I started seeing in that way, the moment that kind of feeling starts to come to me that I feel that headache, you want to explode, and it's like, stop yourself, like stop the movie, and then try to understand why is it bothering me so much, what is in me that one wants to be understood and healed. And somehow it seems like things are changing. It really works when you understand it, that you are in that relation because you have to heal, because you have to give on yourself. Like in my case, I choose this particular life to give, not to be self-centered, but to put the others in front of me, to learn the lesson of humility, the lesson of giving unconditionally and putting the others first, which I did not do in the past lives. And this is very powerful because once that was settled in my mind, I said, okay, once I understand this and I know I do that, things are coming easier. And indeed, they start to solve by themselves without doing
Mm.
any effort. So it's very powerful.
Yeah, I think what was I going to say? I'm a
Nice
massive
sharing, Victor.
yeah, thank you. I'm a massive believer that our relationships are our greatest teachers. You know, if we allow ourselves to see the lessons, or at least see where, like you said, what are they triggering? You know, and if we don't actually face them. We don't do the work. We don't do the shadow work, for example. Like you said, again, we're going to face it wherever we go. It will keep coming back until we've learned the lesson. Like, it's a very simple example is when, if you're someone that is jealous, for anything, the smallest things with your partner, and any sign of jealousy is somewhere we could work on ourselves. I find, I had a very jealous ex-girlfriend, one of my first girlfriends, and I had loads of female friends. That was just me. I always had female friends, and she was never allowed to have male friends because of her ex. He was very jealous, so we just continued the cycle. And then she met me, and I was just like, "Hey, you can have all the male friends you want. I got all these female friends. I don't care. It doesn't bother me." And she couldn't handle it, So I had to help her heal that. And she wasn't aware enough to go away and do her own work, so I had to kind of hold her hand with the process. And that was like, say, okay, come meet the girls, come meet my friends, get to understand and know that there's a different way of being, there's a different way of living. And I understand that it might trigger you, but it's because of what you've experienced in the past and doesn't make it true. And once you can create a fallacy within your belief, or a belief that doesn't really need to exist, that's only then can you really work through healing that. You know, it's our belief systems, and our belief systems are created when we're kids, you know, when we're younger, or even maybe we've had a traumatic experience that creates a belief system. And normally it's a way to protect ourselves. You know, so in her case, her being jealous protected her relationship so that she didn't have to deal with someone that would cheat. So how do we break those fallacies? How do we break them down so that we don't need to believe in them anymore? A lot of my clients, they come to me with belief systems that aren't serving them, and you have to just make them seem absurd. You have to make them seem like they're ridiculous, or that there's no reason to believe, and there's no reason to believe that it's true. And only then can you work through it. So yeah.
To be right now, Adil, after all the experience you've had so far, sorry, Victor, after all the experience you've had so far, what's the masculine man you aspire to be, or you're working on yourself to become, or you have become already, maybe?
I mean, I've still got so much work to do. I think the work doesn't stop, you know. I just want to be the best version of myself in terms of, I want to always be honest with me and honest to other people. You know, I think one thing that a man struggles with the most is honesty and integrity. If a man has integrity, he'll move through life quite effortlessly and with purpose, and be kind and be good because your morals are in the right place. But if you don't have integrity with yourself, it will flow into the other areas of your life. For example, Victor is a man of integrity. He's a very honest man. He's a good man. You know, I can see that. He displays it in his action. He displays it in his the way that he is with his friends. You know, he's shown me directly to me how he has integrity and honesty, and more men could do better to be more in touch with themselves like that. You know, but it is rare. It's really rare.
It's hard work. It's hard work.
Exactly.
And deleting all from the past, because that's I had as well really hard lessons to learn.
Can you develop the subject, guys, about this integrity that you want to develop more?
Victor, how did you first, or how do you, some of the things that you've done in the past to work on that? Like, what kind of challenges have you been through? And
I did not want to be like my father.
There we go.
And this is, I think I said everything, because being in a family that my parents were together and they were loving each other, but because my father was never having the confidence, he was never the man in the family. My mother was always the decision taker, the person that I can talk to, my best friend, my everything. I never remember going somewhere for a beer with my father or teaching me anything or nothing. So I grew up with that kind of pain that it's like, why is he never able to take a decision? Why is he not able to do something for this family to raise us up? And why you are always in a lack and always trying to get things done on the, I don't know, on the hiding way, not straightforward. And I said, I will never do that. I want to be full of integrity, exactly as you said. And I always follow my principles. I never cared what the others are saying. I was having my falcons, my birds. People will laugh about me in the university because I know I'm always with the birds. And even when I go to university, the lessons I full of mud sometimes because I went on the field with the birds and they will laugh at me. But I always kept there. I didn't care. I said, like, I don't need to hide. This is what I love to do. And the life showed me that things are coming when you keep on your ground. I become a very, very good doctor of falcons in Dubai. I work with the royals, with the brothers of the presidents, which I proved my point. And then I went further. I realized that I can do much more with my super energetical water from Japan. And again, people started judging. It's like, you're now a plumber. You are a big doctor, and now you become a plumber. It's like, what is that? And try to push you down. But I stood on because I know that I'm doing the right thing. I know that I'm having a much higher purpose, and with this project, I can give much more value to people and to the whole community. And the more I learn on spirituality, the more I understand that I gotta leave everything what I have for my father, all that lack. That sometimes it comes back when you are in a pitch point, when you wanna take a decision and there's a lot of pressure. That's the time you like start to hesitate and start to become a little bit like my father. And then I like it's so hard to get over it. But then
Victor, that's humanity.
and then I say like I don't want to reach there. I don't want to be there. That I'm not able to take a decision for my family, and I'm always in that kind of low point of lack. So I just do it, even if I know that I will lose things, and I just do it.
Mm.
And
So Tony Robbins,
mm,
and you know about this, Alina. He talks about we do things for two reasons, right? To make ourselves feel happy, like pleasure, or to avoid pain.
mm,
So either we consciously move towards a place where we will look for long-term gain, or we will avoid like severe pain. The problem we have is that we live in a world where we want short-term satisfaction, short-term instant gratification. And so doing the work like Victor does, and I do, and I'm sure you do as well, it's a long-term gain. So we don't see the tangible benefits straight away, which means we're less likely to want to do it. So we're more likely to look for the short-term pleasures, maybe it is running away from a relationship. Maybe it is eating that thing that we know we shouldn't eat because I forget it, we'll worry about it tomorrow. But then you keep doing that every day, and before you know it, you put on 10 kilos and you're not feeling too good about yourself. But you put in the work now at the gym and you eat well for like 6 months, that's it. You've got a great body, or you feel better, you feel healthier, or you invest in a Japanese medical device that might cost you a bit of money in the beginning, but actually you're far healthier in the long run. Don't think about the short-term pain, think about the long-term pleasure. And that is one of my greatest takeaways from doing the work, is it's not instantly beneficial to you, but it will be beneficial to you in the long run and to those around you.
What are the qualities you most admire about yourself as a man in the sense of masculinity?
I like that about me personally.
Yes, absolutely, because this is a guideline for women and for men as well. I mean, I'm asking you here why I'm asking this question, because I'm assuming after your work, these values, these qualities that you are appreciating in yourself.
I love that I can communicate. I love that I can articulate myself, and I love that I can hold space for people when they are speaking with me, which also means that if someone is in my life and they may be going through something quite challenging, or they take something out at me, or they are quite negative, I don't instantly react. I won't look at them and think something's wrong with you. I look at them and think, how can I help? Or what do I need to do to make you feel better or more comfortable? What are you really saying? You're not really mad at me. What's really going on? I'm able to see through these kind of things.
You're a very secure man. This is what therapists would define a very secure human being.
I think I'm a lot more secure. I think there's still
you are very secure.
I think, like I said, there's always work that can be done. There's always work that can be done. I like that I can take risks, without feeling afraid. I'm also happy that I can feel my emotions and not be afraid of my emotions. So even if I am feeling scared or I'm feeling sad, I don't try now to mask it, pretend, or do something else that will distract me from the emotion. I just feel it. I'm not afraid to ask for what I want. Even like I'm single now. So when I meet women, I'm able to articulate what it is that I want right now, what it is that I need, what I don't want, and not feel ashamed about it. I think that's something that, again, it comes down to integrity and honesty, and it's such an important thing that we can all learn to grasp. That honesty,
That's
and
right.
I like that I look after my health. That's the last thing. Like Victor's, like, I do like to go to the gym. I do like to eat well. I drink the right water. I like I look after myself.
It was a serious question. Why? Because for us, for women, it gives us some hints what to look for in a manly man, in a healthy manly man.
What women want, they want to feel safe. Okay.
Number one.
They want to feel safe enough, not necessarily that he's strong physically, but that he's strong mentally, that he can be in touch with his emotions, but he's not going to cry every day, right? He might be down, but he's like, cool, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm doing about it. They still want that, right? So there's that difference. That's what came up in the conversation the other week about emotional men. Women don't want a man not to be emotional. They just don't want him to be emotional all the time, or to be overly expressive, but in a way that's almost like complaining or moaning, because it will make the feminine feel unsafe. And this is something that men and women need to understand. There needs to be polarity. A woman needs to be feminine and a man needs to be masculine. Okay, that doesn't mean that it doesn't work for same-sex couples. A girl and a girl, there's always one that's more manly, one that's more feminine. Has to be. Same with two guys, same thing. There's always one that's more manly than the other. That needs to exist. So that safety is important. So a woman wants to feel safe. So a man that can make decisions, can take the lead, is a man of purpose, has direction, isn't afraid to take risks, but won't put the family at risk. These are things that feel nice. That means that a woman can then feel like she can open up. She's like a flower, you know. If all the soil, or the man provides all the soil and the earth, the woman can bloom. This is what I've learned over the last, say, 5 years about the energy, you know, the energy of the masculine, energy of the feminine. We are the soil for a woman to be able to feel enriched enough to grow and blossom, and she will continue to provide us with her sweet smelling fragrances from the flowers that she blooms, you know, and she'll provide us with shelter, like from the leaves. She'll look after us. The feminine looks after the masculine, but the masculine just got to just provide that security. And now one of the things that I think about when I was in my last relationship, and then she'd go crazy about something, have an argument, or she's upset, I'd imagine what it means to be grounded masculine. A grounded masculine is, imagine a big rock in a river, okay? The rock will not move, but the river, which is the woman, will just be chaos all over the place and just going, you know, but the rock won't move. The rock knows what the rock does. The feminine is chaos, beautiful chaos. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean that for the feminine expression is not meant to be contained like that. The masculine provides a container of safety, but allows you to be free. Most women who, when they're in their feminine, they want to dance, they want to flow, they want to just do what they want with their day. You know, they don't always want to have direction, and they don't always want to be them. All the women that I meet, they say, I'm sick of having to be the one that provides for me. I don't want to have to do this anymore. I don't want to be always going to work and be worried about myself. And I don't want to, I want to just feel safe. This is what I hear. And I hear men that say, I don't want someone to rely on me. Now, I see men that say that, and I was also this man. This is a man that isn't grounded in his masculinity. He doesn't understand his purpose. He's a man that still needs to be maybe a little bit selfish before he realizes, or he will be forever lost as a little boy, not yet becoming a grounded masculine man. It is our duty, I feel, for us to be providers, you know, and for women to be the nurturers and the carers for us, and not in a motherly way, but in a way which is, you know, just to more like a queen and his king.
That's beautiful.
It's a really beautiful picture, yeah, that you're painting. And I would 99% agree with you. When it comes to the part of providing, yes, it's so comfortable for us as women to feel cherished in that way, and to be allowed the freedom, like you said, to blossom and to pursue our interests and our passions. At the same time, it can blow in our face, our financial dependence. So how would you mitigate that so that it provides some sort of balance between the two parties? Because I see it much too often. I see it much too often happening.
Every woman should have money, right? Have your own. Have your own. I see many women, and I actually met one recently. She said, even when we're dating, I want him to pay for everything. I don't want to have to work. And she has no money right now. Right? She's struggling. We went out for dinner. She couldn't even pay half. Okay. And I said, you want a man to come into your life and pay for your rent and pay for everything, even though you just met him, and you can't even pay your own rent. This is putting you in a situation of severe vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Know how to handle yourself. Know how to handle your own situation. Don't rely on someone like that. Equally, but on the other side, I don't agree that if you do have your own finances, everything like that is all set up, and then you're in a relationship, say you get married and then you divorce, I hate, and I do with a passion, this like, I'm taking his money, I'm taking all half his money. It doesn't make any sense to me. If, however, he said to the woman, I will support you the rest of your life, and then you don't, it doesn't work, and then fine. Then I would say fine. Then you owe this woman half your salary for the rest of your life, or whatever it's going to be. Then it's different. But I believe that everyone should be able to sustain themselves and not be in a situation where you are at the whim of the guy, or vice versa.
Very nice distinction. Thank you. Because many people avoid addressing this topic. And yet it's, I think, often the number one or the number two issue that relationships break because of. Isn't it?
Again, if it just came down to communication, I'll give you an example of communication. When I came to Dubai, I moved in with my girlfriend. And we didn't talk about what we really wanted. If she was honest with me, she would have said, listen, come to Dubai, stay somewhere for like a month or so, and we'll live separately, and then we can work something out. But we just, both of us just assumed that we're going to move in together. And so she went through hell trying to get the flat, apartment. Obviously, if you know what it's like in Dubai trying to get an apartment, it is not easy to get all the internet sorted out, the electricity, the everything. And she resented me because she had to do it, because I wasn't here. The fact that it was in her name, it was like, she didn't want any of that, but we hadn't talked about it. So we both had a set of assumptions. Same thing with money. If you don't talk about these things in the beginning, you're setting yourself up to fail. Now, I talk to my clients now. I always say, when you're dating, talk about these things early. Maybe not date one, maybe date two, maybe date three. Like, honestly, what are your beliefs? Do you want kids? Do you want to be married? Are you religious? How do you deal with money? Talk about it. Because you might find that on date two, you have very different views. Yes, you might want to like have sex with each other. You might find each other attractive. But if you can't communicate and you have very, very differing views, they're not going to change. They're not going to change.
The relationship with the assumption that I'm going to change him later. Yep. So many of my friends are living with this wishful thinking, and I'm telling them, no, this is the person you get. Don't attempt to change people. They are not going to change. No. Leave them alone. They don't owe you to change.
Why are women falling in love with the man's potential and not the man? That's another thing. Like, men feel like you don't really like us for who we are. There's always something wrong. Why can't you just accept us the way that we are? You know?
It's some of the women. I have to say, in our defense, not all the women fall in love with the potential. I'm speaking as a woman who was in love at some point and who loved the man for what he was, with his ups and downs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's not always about changing. It's about working together. Yes. Mm-hmm. But thinking that I want to change him, or he can, okay, let me just get him, and then he'll
I'll
change.
slowly tweak him around.
And look, some men will mold and move, and same with women. Some women will adapt and everything too.
But there's resentment.
I think sometimes if you're really trying to change that person, like, for example, he always goes out and he always parties, but I'm going to change that, right? Eventually it will catch up with him, because he'll think that I can't be who I am. I can't be myself, you know? And I've definitely felt that, where I just feel like I couldn't even in my last relationship, it felt uncomfortable for me to meet female friends. And in Dubai, I was new, so I didn't have any friends. So I was making friends. And so if I met up with a girl, or even talking about business, you know, she would ask me, like, why are you meeting with this woman? And I'd say, well, why not? You know, like, there's nothing wrong in that. And also with the work that I do, the gateway to men is for the women. So many of my clients came to me through their partners, through women. So it definitely helps.
We definitely look forward to your books, courses, trainings, circles. I'm sure it's going to be a blessing for both parties.
Any men you know, send these men to me. They're definitely worth having. Yeah, and the main thing that I like to do is just challenge men. Just challenge them.
How? What would you do?
Like, if someone talks to me about a particular view, or you know, how they feel about women or how they feel about life, I'll just ask them loads of why. Just why. I really want to understand the belief behind it. Like, where did this come from? Why? I love asking why. I'm just curious, you know. I don't have all the answers, but I have all the questions. And I think that's all we really need. You know? Life coaches we're not meant to be the ones that spoon feed you. We're meant to be the ones that challenge you and and give you the, I don't know, the spoon or the shovel to get digging and to find out who you really are. You know, who are you really? Like Victor, you've been on a journey, man. Like you've been very lucky that you've spoken about your relationship with your mum, which I think really helped you with your emotions and being able to articulate. And I think you've been quite in touch with who you are for quite some time. But whenever we face things in our life, like it's important to go back to like, oh, why, and what do we really want? You know, and we've spoken a lot about a lot of things that you've been through, and it always comes back down to that. What does Victor want, really? What is he willing to do? You know?
It's all about us, how we create the perfect environment to grow, because we definitely change a lot. And we had a lot of discussions. I used to share every week in the men's circle,
Yeah.
more and more and digging deeper. And I realized that you don't have to give up everything, even if I choose to be in a relation where everything is the opposite of what I am. You can still make it to be your own closed environment that you can still grow. You can still nourish that ground, even if it's desert. Look at that, right? Even if it's nothing grows normally, they build up all this beautiful thing that, as their vision says, it will be the most wanted place to live in the next year, the most cleaner, the most healthier. So I am very strong connected to the purpose that I can create that in my relation as well. Even my partner is completely the other side of me. We learn how to work each other. Like I seen one of the most common thing when one of the partners in the relation becomes more spiritual, understands that has powers. Like in my case, I was very much into the 3D world. I had no idea that there is something else. There is dark, there is light. So the more I understood that I have power, I started to feel the warmth, you feel the energy, you feel in the chakras. You become more and more spiritual, and you tend to fly too high sometimes. And I'm very grateful that my partner, even if we are so different, she was able to ground me, to place me back in the pot when my roots went out and I started to float, and I would probably vanish quite quick. Somehow she was able to root me back and water the roots and let it grow new leaves again. And I find that super important, that I'm very grateful for her, because she always gave me my space, even if she's a different culture, a different religion, and it was considered into her belief something not acceptable religiously, because I went to all kind of shamanic rituals, all kind of places where there are only women, and maybe I was the only man in here with in the middle of 20 women, and she accepted that because she trusted me, she understood who I am, and I asked her from my heart that this is my growth, and I gotta be in there. I connect better to women, and doesn't need to be anything physical. Just that kind of connection that helps me understand more about myself. So it's beautiful. I'm learning every day, and by having her permission and allowance, and not questioning where am I going, what am I doing, who is that, uh, gives me confidence, and it shows me that I have the support. So I can grow spiritually, I can develop my powers, I can learn how to heal animals and people only with energy, combining a little bit of the medical. Being surrounded by a lot of other women, because it seems like I can heal women much better than I can connect with men. And she understands that, and it's beautiful. So it can happen.
I think that goes back to, bringing back the analogy of the king and the queen. And if you look at, just throughout history, or you look at it in films, when you've got like a really strong king, a good king, you find that there's a really good queen next to him. She's not overpowering him, she's supporting him, but she kind of is the one that is in his ear saying, listen, I think this is what you should do, this is how you do it, or questioning him in a nice way, like, are you sure this is the right decision? That's a queen. And a king, he will take the stand, but ultimately he will listen to his counsel, he will listen to her, and he will say, right, you know what, you're right. And whenever I think about the kind of ideal relationship, and people say, yeah, you're my king and you're my queen, I don't think people really are embodying it. But if we did embody what a good queen, a good king looks like, that's a power couple right there. That is a couple where you know you could move forward and you can change the world and you could do amazing things.
It's on my mind as you were speaking. It's
Cool.
beautiful. And this brings me back to the years when me and my ex were king and queen. Everything was working out like magic. Everything, our business, studies, research, everything was just blooming because there was this support. And like you said, I was giving him counsel without trying to control him. He was the decision maker, but I was having a powerful voice behind and kind of keeping his back safe in many, many ways, and his logistics. And he was the driver, he was the powerhouse. And things worked wonderfully.
Yeah. The dynamic.
Yeah.
The dynamic worked, the energies were polarized, like the masculine feminine was perfectly balanced, and yeah, you can't really fault that.
Yeah. So thank you for reminding me of that. It's sweet, sweet, good memories.
What areas, Alina, do you think that you could do more to work on with yourself when it comes to relationships or even relationship with yourself?
Just accepting that I'm lovable just the way I am without having to deserve it. This doesn't exclude me behaving in a certain way, like making efforts and speaking all the love languages and giving, but doing it from a platform of, I deserve love just because I am, just like everybody else. This is the place where I'm constantly returning to again and again. I'm being shown that again and again in my work, in my life. Whenever I find myself seeking for validation, for reassurance, yes, we do want reassurance. Yes, we do want love and validation from outside. I hope I will live to see the day when I feel constantly on a daily basis that I am lovable just because I am. There is a part of me that feels that. I feel connected to God and I'm God's child and I'm perfect in that sense, just like everybody is. So on that dimension, I feel, yes, I'm lovable, I'm perfect, I'm fine. I think it's the human, all the other segments of me that have to just come together and accept this truth.
How do you show yourself love on a daily basis?
I give myself permission to have joy, whether that means just putting everything on a side for 2 hours and take a walk in the forest, or giving myself permission to laugh with a guy without having any other intention beyond that, just because it pleases me and makes me feel alive. I also show myself love by following through with what I decide to do, because when I don't do that, I feel like I can't count on myself, and that's very disturbing for me if I don't follow through with my decisions. I guess I also love myself taking care of my body.
Yep.
Making sure I reach out for help when I need it, because it's a lesson I had to learn in the past few years. I used to be one of those people who, just like you guys, was, I have to face it alone. I have to manage. I don't know why. I just thought I'm strong enough. I should be able to do whatever comes my way. So asking for help and surrounding myself with people who see the good in me without being sycophants, but they see the good in me. They don't challenge me on a constant basis. People who are good for my heart. That's another way of loving myself. And then obviously pouring myself into activities like this, where I just feel happy, alive, with no other objective than, at this point, contributing, sharing valuable information with other people. So thank you. That was a lovely question. Thank you.
Well, look, it shows that you are living in a world where you're loving yourself on a daily basis, and it isn't just in the world of, or the realm of God. You do have it in the 3D. You do have it right here, and you are lovable just as you are.
As we all are.
As we all are.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
This was very, very beautiful.
Yeah, this is a great conversation.
All right. I think we should stop here because we otherwise we'll go for another 3 hours, and
Yep.
better keep some of the secrets for the next time.
For the
I'm
next
sure only with the ideas that we shared in here, we can save a lot of lives, a lot of people out there that they are struggling and they are in a exploding point. So thank you so much to both of you. And it's so interesting because guys, we did not talk to each other before about any dress code or anything.
Yeah.
And if you see what we embodied, look at that. I came with the light, Adil came with the dark, because this is very important to face your darkness. A lot of light workers, a lot of light around people that they're like all over the place, but in fact they are not here. They are already a bit lost. And there comes Joe Dispenza when he says, see the dark around, because the light is, you see it's a little bit, but all the dark around is the most of it. And we have to embrace it and use it likewise. And then Alina came in red and embodying the love. So which we all need, love, light and dark.
Yeah, love is what brings us the light and the dark together, you know, or at least it helps us shine the light on the dark. It's that love, that self. Alina, you're already embodying self-love and love for all of us.
Thank you, guys. It's lovely to hear it from you, from both of you. It's so beautiful. I'm very grateful.
Both of you have such beautiful energy. Obviously, Alina, I've not met you yet, but Victor, you are like light in my life. You know, I always feel so beautiful and so amazing when we're together.
He's a lifesaver, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep.
Victor the lifesaver.
We are all for each other. I think we all have our share of life saving to each other.
Yeah. And Victor eventually one day, he's already doing it, but he'll be leading men's circles of his own. And we're going to have many men leading men's circles. So that's the bigger picture here. Is that I don't want to be the only men's coach in Dubai or in the world.
I had a vision.
You will be the one who started it. You will be the one who keeps perfecting it. But I think the only way to multiply the good is to teach other people to do what you are doing.
Yeah. While we are talking before and sharing, I had like a vision. Sometimes I channel things that eventually they are becoming reality sooner or later. So what I've seen is that we are able to create something really beautiful, like boot camps, retreats, where we bring men back to their power, back to their essence. And like what we did in here was a short 1 hour session over dinner, but being in that kind of mindset where they are just came from job, came from the wife, where like their mind is all over the place, they will share a bit, but then they are back to this space. So what I see is creating retreats away from Dubai, taking a couple of days off, minimum 3-4 days, where we go to a place, we immerse, we use eventually some plant medicine, we purify the aura, we get to that kind of deep space, like what happened for you in Morocco. And I think we can do beautiful things and magic.
It's already happening. Okay, so like this, I'm already in discussion with particular people. It's in the pipeline. Okay?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's already happening. That's why Brotherhood DXB is expanding the way that it is. I've joined up with mentality. It's going to be huge. So Brotherhood DXB is the men's movement, right, Alina? And this is just for Dubai right now, but it's going to be Brotherhood LDN, Brotherhood Miami, but it's going to be global.
Well done. I'm so happy to hear this.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, find me on Instagram, Adil Coaches Men. Reach out to me, reach out to any of us. But if there's anything that has come up in this conversation that you would like to know more about or continue a conversation, then you know where to find me.
We will make sure to put the link to your profile in the description of the video and to share it everywhere.
Yeah, thank you. But anyway, thank you guys for this chat. This was really nice. And again, I loved how it came together. Like literally, what we talked like a few days ago, and here we are, just making this happen.
Beautiful gift.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Very grateful here.
And
thank you. Have a wonderful day and see you soon.